Hello and welcome to another episode of JTA Films, where this week we've got a special guest. But my name is Ian Sargentson.
And mine's Luke Taylor, and it's great to be with you to just talk about films. We don't claim to be a podcast that has the in-depth knowledge that some of your podcasts will have, but I do know this. We like talking about films, and we will do it even in the light of sometimes our lack of knowledge. Or my lack of knowledge. Sorry, I keep putting that on you, Ian. It's mine.
It's a bit of transference. And we have Emma is our guest today. So Emma, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. What is there to say? I'm obsessed with films. Like, if I could live at the cinema, I probably would. And I just turned my sort of love/obsession of films into a significant pastime, writing reviews and things like that. So yeah, met a nice lot of people on Twitter, and so now it feels like a second job, but in a good way.
Brilliant. And whereabouts in the country are you?
I'm in Bristol.
Bristol. Right, so next week's guest, John, that's where I saw you tweet the other day that you saw him in the cinema. I didn't know if you were just being funny, but you were in the same cinema.
We're unlimited buddies. Yeah, he was sitting in the row in front of me.
Right.
So do you know each other?
I mean, vaguely.
Okay.
It's one of those cinema things. So you're in there, you chat on the way in and on the way out, and then Twitter and
Brilliant.
Yes.
But yes,
people you only see in the cinema.
Okay, well, it's great to have you with us this week, just talking about films. So, as you'll have seen if you've watched the podcast before, if you've listened to it, what we normally start with is just talking about the films that we've watched this week. So, Emma, seems that you're our guest. You go first, please.
Wonderful. Well, as I mentioned, I got a lot of films. The first ones, I had watched Willy's Wonderland, the Nick Cage film.
Oh, yeah.
And I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with that. So I watched the Banana Splits movie, followed by Betty Loves You, because they all sort of have that same...
So you went on the scary toy route.
Yes, I did. But it was quite an enjoyable set of films. I have to admit, though, when I was looking, just like scrolling through Prime, trying to find other things to watch, I didn't actually realise the Banana Splits movie was like this horror thing. I had assumed in my naivety, I think, back when it came out, that it was actually a Banana Splits movie.
Yeah. And it's not.
No, it's not.
So what else have you been watching, Emma?
I'm just consulting the list. My memory is terrible. We had a preview at Cineworld. Was it the end of last week? It's all a blur now. Dream Horse, which is...
Oh, yes, I remember the trailer for that. Yeah.
I've seen
it was going to be an unlimited right at the beginning when they closed it down, and now we finally got that one. It's a nice, passable film. You don't need to watch it at the cinema. It's sort of in the vein of, well, obviously horse racing, but it's in the vein of the type of movies like Full Monty and Walk Like a Panther, was it? Like things like that. It's a very
community getting together, doing something nice.
Yeah. I like them kind of films. They always surprise me. Do you know what I mean? It's like the one about the singers by the seaside.
Fisherman's Friends.
Yeah, like stuff like that. I had no idea what it was about, but you could kind of tell from the cover, and it was like just a feel-good film that I enjoyed.
Yeah, it's fair.
Was it any good?
Yeah, no, I definitely like. It's worth a watch. I sense that some animal lovers might not like it, so maybe avoid it on that grounds. But like I say, it's passable. It's one of those films you could sit happily on a Sunday afternoon and watch. And
I've just realised, does that mean the horse dies?
Luke, we don't spoil it. Something happens to the horse. We've gathered
the horse's
that already.
life just flashed before my eyes.
Oh God, you sound like there were three women sitting in the row in front of me, and just spoilers were like coming out of their mouths because there are bits that you can see coming, and it's just like no filter. I nearly had to tut. but I did.
Oh.
I reined it in.
Choked.
Oh dear.
What else did I see? Oh, there was the preview of Nobody, which
Yes,
was
I did that.
very, very good.
I watched it this morning.
What did you think?
I was pleasantly surprised.
I was supposed to be doing my essay, but yeah. I mean, what do you think, Emma?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm the spoiler for my review that I haven't written yet. I'm giving it 5 stars. I really did. Like, I just enjoyed everything about it. I don't think there was one single bit that I hated. I didn't really know what to expect, like going in to see it, and I've never seen him in anything. Like, the only thing, if you went, oh, what's he been in before? I'd have gone, oh, he was in Little Women. And that would be it. I don't know him from anything else.
You haven't done Breaking Bad?
No. So, I didn't really have any experience with him before, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But by the end of it, I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to have to buy this when it comes out on Blu-ray. Already know I'm going to own this one. I love a film with mindless violence that doesn't take itself that seriously.
That sums it up very well. It was pretty mindless, but it was good fun. What did you think, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I could tell. So I'm a big Bob Odenkirk fan anyway, from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I just think he's
Better Call Saul's great. Yeah.
Tremendous actor who does that understated really well. I think he was perfect casting choice for that. You could see that people who had been involved with John Wick were involved.
Yes.
In it. It's more or less the same story.
It's the same stunt team, yeah.
Replace a dog with a bunny bracelet, a cat bracelet, whatever, a kitty bracelet. So, but yeah, it was good. I liked the scene on the bus. I thought that was very good. Again, all the thousands of Russians come in. Yeah, it was good. I think it was good to. Yeah, I thought it was just entertaining. As you said, there wasn't a lot of depth to it. It was fun. I thought his dad was brilliant.
Oh, the bit where he comes in his dad's and he goes, "You brought a lot of shotguns." And he goes, "Well, you brought a lot of Russians."
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was good. And it was, again, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was one of them ones where, even though I've got a membership at Everyman, I would have paid for it anyway. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I think I thought it was enjoyable. I have to say it's below John Wick in my estimations, but still had a good time.
Yeah, I think it is for me.
I'll allow that.
Yeah, sub John Wick, but John Wick's up there, so
it's better than John Wick 2, though. I think.
No, that's great. That's even better.
No, yeah, gradually worse.
No, well, maybe better than 3. I've got a soft spot for 2. I don't know why. I just enjoy 2. I think it's that bizarre sequence where you see the montage of those assassins in New York and taking them out one by one. I enjoyed that. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, good film. So, what about you? What have you been on to?
I've had a good week for watching this week. It's I don't know if I'll touch on all of them. First thing I did was A Quiet Place Part 2. We did that over the weekend last week. That was, and thoroughly enjoyed that. I realised we had to wait an extra year for it, but it was worth it. It was worth the wait. Thoroughly. I mean, I was absolutely transfixed the whole time. Not as good as the first one, but broadens the scope of the story enough that it's maintained, it's still fun and interesting, and opened up the world, because you start with just a family and now you move to a little group of people. So I enjoyed that. It does just kind of end, and I was a little bit like, is that set up for a sequel or for a third one? But there again, the first one just kind of ended as well, I suppose. So did you do those, Ian? Because you were talking about.
No, I was going to see the double bill. I just couldn't. I didn't have the time in the day. It was only a one day, and I didn't.
All right.
I didn't have the time,
because the first one the end of the first one was just spot on. But it is kind of like, oh, you're not going to get to see what happens next. But then it picks up right away from that. A really good prologue as well at the start, I thought. Thoroughly enjoyed that. What did you think of it, Emma?
Yeah, no, I mean, it got me a couple of times with jump scares, which I just found hilarious because I was like, I know it's going to get me. And I was like, I'm going to be fine. I'll predict it. Well, I didn't predict it.
Do you think some of that's been back in the big screen again? That you're jumping more than you used to because you're not used to it?
And it was really good as well because we had the unlimited screening. So there were quite a few other people there as well. And we were all like, I think we'd all kind of got the same thing going on because you could sit, like, we were jumping and then you just hear this little like roll of laughter as everyone sort of jumped at random things that, like I said, you knew were coming, but you're all sitting there like, I'm not going to eat popcorn.
That's it. The cinema goes so quiet.
Every time I had a bottle of drink with me and I was just sitting there just waiting. I was like, noise, open it now.
Because yeah, I enjoyed that. I did the Untouchables for our movie club that we have. Thoroughly enjoyed the Untouchables. Good film. We went to see Cruella, which I have to say, I wasn't expecting anything from it. In fact, we barely went to see it. We were like, should we? Because it's a film that had no interest for me whatsoever, and kind of a film I don't think should exist. But for a film that shouldn't exist, I had a wonderful time. I really enjoyed it. It shouldn't have worked. I don't know how it worked. Credit to the people who made it for somehow making that work, because it was well directed, well written, incredibly well acted, and it was actually good fun all the way through. So recommend that, even though I never thought I'd recommend that.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
And then I think it was based on, because we talked about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid last week, I was in a Western mood. So I've never seen Once Upon a Time in the West. So I did that this week. And I got to say, everything I imagined a Western to be was that film. It was a Western country. It was so strange. Like, I guess everything in that film became cliche after that film was made, or became overused after that. But like, everything in it is what I immediately recognize a Western to be, including the long looks and the somebody going every now and again, just everything. And it felt so dangerous and the sort of place you would not want to live. And had a great time. I didn't fully understand what was happening in the plot, but I had a great time.
You've had a great time all week, haven't you, Luke?
Yeah, I've watched some great stuff this week. Nobody, I watched that. Then Allied, another film I'd missed.
Allied, I enjoyed Allied.
Yeah. One of those ones where it came out of the cinema, Amelia was saying, I wanted to go see that, and you said no. Not that I'm like, but like I didn't fancy it. But actually, I thoroughly enjoyed Allied. I thought it was great, so well written, and it was surprising. And I had a lump in my throat at the end of it. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. And then the last one I did is we rewatched Passengers.
Yeah.
A film that is so strange. It writes itself into such a corner with the bad decision Chris Pratt has to make for the plot, and you're just like, I can't see how it could ever have written itself out of that corner. It was just, you're on his side for half the film, and then suddenly you're like, no, you can't. He loses you straight away. I was wondering whether that's a film that would have been better if they'd played with the chronology a bit and you didn't know what he'd done until she found out, and whether you'd feel a bit more sympathy for him or something then. But strange film. I like that they tried, but I think it failed.
Yeah, I can't remember much about it. I remember it looked good, and I remember that I found a solution to his problem rather than the one that he chose. But I can't remember. I was outraged, going, "Why didn't he just do this?" But I can't remember what that was now.
Oh, I'd like to know what it was.
Yeah, so I thought that would work, but maybe it wouldn't have. There would probably a flaw in it, but in my head, I solved the problem. So I never want to watch it again in case I was wrong.
That's been my week. It's been a good week.
Okay, for me, I've obviously, because I've talked about it a few times. I'm on this going back to rewatch films I haven't seen for 20 odd years or something. So I've done half of them, not half of the ones I've got on my list, but half of the ones I've watched this week have been that, and half have been new. So I watched Spider-Man 3 because I'd watched Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, and kind of got to watch Spider-Man 3, although I didn't when I did Superman. I stopped at 2.
Well, that's quite right.
And then went to Returns and Man of Steel. But so, yeah, Spider-Man 3, I watched that. I like it, apart from the stupid bit in the middle where he's under the influence of Venom. Yeah, all that. It's just... And someone said to me on Instagram, it was like the protest of the director. It was nonsensical. It was like, if you're going to be under the influence of evil, that's not it. Doesn't just involve telling your next door neighbor to make you some cookies. Anyway, it was all right. Apart from that, it got better towards the end. Then after what you talked about last week, I watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought there was lots to love about it. Them bits that you mentioned were weird. So the montage about them in New York, just a series of photographs. The bit on the bike was weird for so many reasons. It was like the song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" while he's riding around with his best mate's girl on his bike, kissing her on the cheek. It's like, I don't know why it's there. But the relationship between them two was good, both the characters and the actors. I thought there was a natural chemistry. I thought the ending was brilliant. I thought it was superb.
Yeah, it is. Perfect end.
Thought it looked good. It built well. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. And there's lots of funny things in it. Then I watched on Netflix something that was recommended to me a few months ago called Calibre. I don't know if you've seen it. So it's about two guys who go hunting in Scotland, and then a situation happens and it takes a turn for the worse. And then it just gets worse and worse from them. But it's a film. One of the films that I've watched that has caused me the most discomfort. Not because of what's happening on the screen per se, although there is some weird stuff, but more that sense of impending doom that is something going to happen? Who's going to find out? Is it going to be uncovered? So it's all that. It's just tense. It's just palpable tension. It's an independent film. I think it was Scottish. So the Scottish Arts Council, I think, did it. But yeah, I thought it was really good for one of these things that are on Netflix. So if you get a chance, watch Calibre. There's a lot of ethical and moral questions in for the viewer to engage with and to answer. It kept like stopping and going, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't have done that. But then once they have, it just builds because, you've kind of made your decision now. It's like Passengers, but it starts off bad and then his decisions get progressively more important. I rewatched Jerry Maguire. I haven't seen it for 20 odd years. I thought it was okay when I first watched it. This time I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Particularly Cuba Gooding Jr. I thought he was excellent in it. Thought Renée Zellweger was really good. Tom Cruise, he is what he is. But I thought it just has something for everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's funny. There's the whole character arc thing. There's romance. Yeah, I just thought it was good.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah,
although I did watch This Is Us this week, where they were watching that.
Well, that's why I watched it.
Is it?
Kevin was watching This Is Us because Kevin was watching Jerry Maguire. I was like, I'll have to rewatch that, so I put it on the next day. That's where it came from. I was like, because he's gone on to best film ever. I'm like, I'll be the judge of that. It's not the best film ever, but it was all right. It was very good. I also had to watch for the other film club. I watched Bruce Almighty again. Again, a lot better than I remember. I remember it being good, but maybe it's because of the job that I do or whatever, but I love it. I loved it more this time. So, yeah, it was funny. There was some big questions. As saying, one of my review, I was saying that it would be easy just because of the subject matter, just to mock faith and religion and stuff for the sake of cheap laughs. But I don't think it does that. I think it opens up the discussion and
it puts some good questions out there.
Ask some big questions, yeah. So I thought it was good. Rewatched Speed, which didn't come out quite so well. It's just proper cheesy. The same as Commando the other week. It's just like, I wish I hadn't watched it because my memories of it were so good. But Keanu Reeves, it was almost like Bill and Ted performance. You know what I mean? It was just, and Sandra Bullock. It was just so wooden. Dennis Hopper, I remember being excellent, and he was in parts, but he went from his character. It wasn't his fault. It was the character went from the sublime to the ridiculous, and it had two endings before it actually ended. So yeah, and then I watched Nobody at the cinema. So my first time back to the cinema to watch that, I enjoyed it. So that's what I've been watching this week. That's what we've been watching this week. So get in touch, let us know what you've been watching. If you've seen any of the films we've discussed, what you think about them. Yeah, good.
Yes, let us know what you've been watching this week and what you think of the films that we've seen. And if you've got any recommendations of films you think we might like based on what we're watching at the moment, send those in as well. Could always do with a good recommendation, like Caliber. We'll give that a try.
Yeah, have a look at it. I think, see if you get the tension. It was just, I liked it.
Great.
So, Emma, we're going to ask you some questions now about the films of your life.
Indeed.
Right?
No pressure at all. I will tell you now, a couple of them still do have two answers on the bit of paper I've got in front of me. I'm going to make a decision on the fly because I've been thinking it over since you sent them over, and I'm just going to have to decide in the moment.
Okay, that's probably the best way. We'll get the more real answer then when you're pressed under pressure. So, could you share with us? And we know it's a difficult question to say what's your favourite film, but what is one of your favourite films? So, if someone says to you, "What's your favourite film?" What's always in and around the top 3 or 5?
So, I feel like I get a bit typecast because I do love a shark film, and most people on Twitter, if you go, "What do you know about Emma at the movies?" they'll go, "Isn't she the one that watches the Meg all the time?" And yes, I am. 98 watches so far.
Wow.
Sorry, so 98?
Yeah.
Has it been out long enough to have it?
So it came out in 2018.
Okay.
And I watched it 6 times at the cinema because I did love it.
Wow.
And then when all the cinemas closed, obviously last year, as a joke with someone else on Twitter, I was like, I should totally watch the Meg every day until Cineworld reopens and I can go back. So I did. I watched it for a very long time, day after day. And then at some point I was like, and this isn't sustainable because it's going to be closed a long time. And it's probably just as well, actually, because my Cineworld, it had been 14 months it was closed. So I did stop at one point. I was like, maybe just once every couple of weeks.
So
Wow.
that's your favourite, amongst your favourite films, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's difficult to pick one. Like, I could probably list you off a good 30 or 40 films. I'm like, oh, this one. I mean, probably my longest favourite is Hot Fuzz. I would like to be best friends with Danny Butterman. I mean, that DVD collection was epic. I'm sure we'd be best mates. I can see it now. But that sort of film, for me, although there are some fantastic films out there that I'm like 5 stars, absolutely everyone should watch it. For me, my favourite films are all rewatchable. I have to be able to watch them. It'll lift my mood, take my mind off whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably a very close second to the Meg for me.
Wow. I'm going to pretend that's your first.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't hate the Meg. I just think it was saved by Jason Statham.
Yeah. It didn't... I don't want to get into but the Meg, for me, I just came out going, where was the shark action? It didn't bite anyone. It didn't feel like enough.
It didn't have to bite them. It just swallowed them whole.
By the shark. And I wanted to see more shark attacks on it.
All right, Luke.
That bit where all those people are swimming at the end and it's sort of going up to the beach. I wanted a little bit more carnage at that point, I guess.
No, you see, the biggest question out of the whole film is nothing to do with the shark. It's the kid with the ice lolly. How, by the end of that film, is he still holding that ice lolly and it hasn't melted. Like, I'm sorry, that is the real question we have to be asking ourselves.
I've only seen it once. I went to the cinema and seen it, and I remember being surprised that I liked it more than I thought I would, because I thought it was going to be. There was another one a few years back, dodgy shark film. I thought it was just going to be like that, but it was slightly better. But
Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, Deep Blue Sea. But it's on our list for one of our film clubs, so I haven't rewatched it again in case it comes up. So
yeah,
you should just watch all three of them, by the way, because the third one is also quite good.
Is there more than one Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah, there's three of them.
Wow.
Two. Wow. It's basically one again with different people, but I enjoyed three, so just a revelation for you there.
Okay. So the Meg,
the Meg for me felt like a film where the studio had said, "No, you can't make it that. You've got to tone it down, get that wider rating." And I just felt like it was just missing carnage.
Well, it's a good job we're not asking you, isn't it?
I know. Sorry.
Invite your guest on. Ask her to share a favourite film, and you spend 5 minutes hammering it.
I'm sorry.
Me and the sharks are judging you.
Which film caused you to fall in love with films?
So this is very tricky for me. I hear people telling their stories, and I really wish I had an amazing memory like people do. My brain just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But I think for me, the things that I remember watching when I grew up are things like Abbott and Costello and the Carry On films and the original like Toho Godzilla type film, like all of that. And I think that's clearly where I got my love of creature features and comedy. And I think those really did like shape the things that I watch now and some of my dubious opinions about movies. I don't even know how. It's not something that I remember my mum and dad watching a lot, particularly. So I'm not even really sure how it came about that I must have like caught onto it, and it's just like it was probably on like Channel 4 or something, regularly, and I just watch it like that. But yeah, I like that.
But I think we're kind of a generation that our first film experiences weren't the cinema. It was watching films on the telly, wasn't it? And just, I guess, older because the network showed them more because it was cheaper. And so that's the first. I remember being dead into the Munsters going to England. I'd watch that thing on loop.
Yeah, there was loads that seemed to be on all the time. For me, it was like Sinbad or Ben-Hur or stuff that my dad would want to watch, and it would just be on. Or Superman. Superman seemed to be on every holiday.
Yeah, but like Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. A lot of Laurel and Hardy used to be on back then. Yeah, that's good. I think it was like a development, I guess, for you in the sense that you're watching all of these and you grow an appreciation for film as you do that, and it's I like that you couldn't just pick the one. It was this process. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could pick my favourites from all of those sort of groups of films, but yeah, it's very much like I do just remember like all of them. That was just something that was like in my life when I was younger, and like I say, it's definitely shaped my love of comedy and creature features.
Brilliant.
That's good.
Do you have an early memory of going to the cinema that stands out? So
now I do have one memory, and I can tell you I was in Kings Lynn and I'd gone to the cinema. It was a re-release of a Disney film, and now I believe it was Bambi, though I wouldn't swear to that. And the main thing that I remember about it is being in the cinema and my nan had fallen asleep. Just, you're sitting in there. It was probably like during the summer and it was quite warm or something, and just fall asleep in the cinema, snoring away. And that is the only memory I have about that. I couldn't tell you anything about the film. It's been a very long time since I've seen it. But yeah, I have that memory, and like I say, my brain does not remember these things. I mean, when I was making a list of things I did remember, the next one is not until like 1997. And that was, I had gone to see the film Private Parts, the Howard Stern sort of autobiography type film. And the only reason I remember that is because I was not 18 when I went to see it. And I was really pleased with myself that I'd managed to go in on my own and buy a ticket to see it. Yeah, I mean, again, can't tell you anything about the film. I went and watched it.
Oh, that's great. Hey, that's another one. That's another one for Disney as their first. We should be keeping a tally.
I mean, I think, like you said on a previous episode, I think it is just what everyone like thinks. Oh, it's a nice watch. It's something easy that kids will get along with. So I think, yeah, probably a lot of people, if they're going to the cinema, it is going to be a Disney film, isn't it? Because it's just, it's just a nice family sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not killing Bambi's mum, but.
Which film do you think deserves more credit? So you think maybe a film you like that other people don't, or a film you just think's been overlooked?
So this one was one of the easier ones to pick. Now, with my limited card, I'll say, go and see any film I want. And I made a conscious decision. I would go and see everything, any mainstream, English language film that came on. And I went and saw a film, which was actually a movies for juniors that they do on like Saturday, Sunday mornings. But I was like, oh, this looks quite interesting. Yeah, I really want to go and see it. And it's called Sergeant Stubby. I think it's subtitled An American Hero, I believe. It's an animated film about this dog who is just a stray, turns up at like the barracks where the recruits are training, and then he goes to war with them. And I don't know what it is about. It was so well done. It tells you the history in a relatively pleasant way for the subject matter. And I got to the end and I was like, oh, something felt odd about watching it, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And when I went and like read up a bit about it, you actually don't see any blood. So obviously you're seeing the carnage of war, but it is done in such a way that I think like you could use it in the schools. You could get kids watching it in the classroom, and it's telling them that story in a way that's not going to frighten them, so they can learn about these things in a more visual way. And I mean, I was bawling my eyes out, like I was crying like a baby. It was awful, but it was a really wonderful film. It was just so well done. I mean, it's not something I've seen pop up on streaming services. I imagine you would have to buy the DVD of it if you wanted to watch it, but it was a very interesting watch, and it was really well done. For, as I say, just this random animated feature that I just happened to see because I was at Loose End on a Saturday morning.
Sergeant Stubby, was that what it's called?
Sergeant Stubby.
Yeah, I've written it down.
Yeah, never heard of it. That's
no. I mean, there are a couple of people on Twitter who do rave about it, so I think they must have done very similar to me and caught it just randomly somewhere. But it's really well done, and I think it's worth a watch.
Great. Wow.
Well, it's based on a true story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, right.
Oh, I'll be all over that then. I'm just Googling it. Right. So on the other side of the coin, what film do you think gets far too much recognition? You just don't get the hype.
Okay. So I this one, I know people are going to get annoyed with me, whichever one I pick on my list. So I will tell you what both of them are, and then I will pick the one that I feel like is...
We get double annoyed that way.
Yeah. I mean, why annoy one set of people when I can annoy two?
Yeah.
So the two films that I have been umming and ahhing about are Midsummer and Parasite.
Oh.
So the trouble is, like, I was looking at it, and the films that I tend to dislike aren't like everyone tends to dislike that. It's not a very random opinion. So I really had to just go with things that I'm like, everyone absolutely loved. And I was just like, it was all right. I mean, I didn't feel like I wasted my time at the cinema. It's fine. But out of the two, I would say probably Midsummer is... you know, it was fine. It was fine. IMDb says it's like thriller, something, horror. I don't know what it said, but I was like, I didn't find it any of those things. It was just fine. It looked really pretty, like absolutely beautiful. Like once you get out to the main sort of camp, that whole look was fantastic. But oh my God, I was not thrilled at all. And I specifically remember when I went to see it as well, because there were a couple sitting in a few rows in front of me. They sat there 10 minutes in and they just went, oh, this is rubbish, let's go and watch something else, and got up and left. And part of me was kind of like, oh, I should really have done that too. But like I say, if I didn't watch it, couldn't moan about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to say this now, would you? Like
but,
half a film I watched. But
so, yeah.
But before Luke gets upset, I think I know what you mean about Parasite. Midsummer, yeah, I kind of get that. But with Parasite, I think if I'd have watched it before I'd heard anything about it, I would have enjoyed it far more than I did. It was just not overhyped, but I'd heard that much about it. It's the greatest film, so I was going in, and the bar was set up here. But if I'd watched it like I did with Caliber or something, I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. I would have thought, wow, that's outstanding. But because I'd been told that it was the greatest thing ever, I was like, it didn't go the way that I thought. So I was slightly underwhelmed, but that is because of what I'd heard about it beforehand, not because of the film itself. So
yeah, I think that definitely. Yeah, that's definitely part of it, I think.
It came with a lot of expectation, and I think it didn't really get a proper release over here until after it had won the Oscar. So you couldn't just discover it. And that's a shame. Or at least it was nominated for the Oscar. I don't think it won. It was not, because then it got the release here.
Yeah, they were like, they started raving about it, and I think we were all, you know, I think we assumed we weren't going to get it at certainly my local Cineworld.
Yeah, I thought there's no chance Cineworld's going to have that on.
And I ended up, we've got a tiny 3-screen Odeon in the centre of Bristol, and they had it as like their screen unseen, or whatever it is they call it. So yeah, I ended up traipsing into town to go and watch that. But I think, you know, and then they all picked it up to some degree. But yeah, I think at that point, like you say, everyone was talking about it. Yeah. It was like, oh my God, we all need to see this. And a lot of people have got screeners and things to watch it early. And yeah, I still don't think I would have been like really high up scoring with it, but certainly it probably would have been higher.
I was just going to say, I can kind of, I get where you're coming from. Midsummer. I got to the end of Midsummer, and I was a bit like, I get it, but I never want to watch it again. That kind of like, yeah, there's some stuff in there didn't want to see.
But I didn't mind Midsummer because I've not heard anything about it. I just saw it because it was on. Do you know what I mean? And then the hype came afterwards for me for that. But so I had that. It's better than I thought. Whereas Parasite, there was no way it could have been better than I thought because I've been told that it was a masterpiece, the greatest film you'd ever seen.
It was very good, though.
It was what?
Very good.
It was very clever, but because I'd heard so much and seen so many clips and seen...
But I guess when I saw it, I hadn't seen any clips of it. I knew nothing about it when I went in. And I didn't even know what type of film it was. And I just remember being surprised by every development and like trying to keep up the whole time going, oh, right, okay, so that's what kind of film it is. Oh, no, it just kept me guessing the whole way. And I was absolutely hooked first time. All I've heard is it was good. I hadn't heard a thing about what was going to happen in it, and it totally hooked me in.
Well, I'd heard more about the fact that it was almost like a social commentary. Do you know what I mean, about the class divide, and rather than the carnage that ensues. I didn't know much about that, so that was like, oh yeah, great. But yeah, so good choices there.
Hey, that's the whole point in the controversial, in the choices.
Oh, I can't wait for the backlash.
I will see.
Okay, well, while we're on that tack, what is your most controversial film opinion?
Okay, so again, this is probably one where I could have picked a few things. Like, I nearly picked like an actor or actress that I feel is overrated, but I was like, no, you know what? I am going to say that a good bad film is better than an okay good film. So specifically, your straight to TV movies. I adore them. They're trash and they're wonderful. Obviously, creature features, so many of the shark films, absolute garbage, straight to sci-fi, love them.
Well, like amazing. Sharknado and things like that.
I mean, that is a perfect example. Like, it is absolute tripe, but brilliant fun. And I think all of just all of that. So, you've got like your Christmas movies that are all exactly the same. Man, woman goes back to hometown from their high-powered job, meets their childhood sweetheart.
I love them. In
Especially
November,
if it's been made by Netflix. The Netflix Christmas movies are a joy.
Oh, Hallmark for me. November, I get Hallmark on. My wife's like, are you watching your cheesy Christmas films again? Yeah, all through November. December, we watch the more established ones. But all through November, Hallmark Christmas movies, 24.
Yes.
I love them. And as Emma says, it's about someone going back to their hometown from their high-powered job, rediscovering Christmas and the love that they left behind 14 years ago.
Or somebody visiting a foreign palace.
Yeah.
I mean, I basically sat down at the beginning of November when obviously you've already got the Hallmark channel, Christmas channel's probably been going for like 2 months already. And I just went through and I just recorded one of everything. And my whole Virgin box was just crammed full of made for TV Christmas movies, and it was a joy to watch. There are some really good ones, and I just like everyone. I think if you say, oh, it's a Hallmark movie or it's a sci-fi movie, they go, oh, I'm not going to watch that, it's going to be rubbish. And yes, occasionally it will be. But I feel like because, it's not going to be great.
Yeah.
Usually it's amusing and it has this element of humour to it, intentionally or not. And I think that does make it better than, a movie that, for want of a better phrase, has tried to be a good movie and failed.
Yeah. It's like junk food. You know, when you go to McDonald's, you know what you're in for. You know it's not going to be the best, but you know you're going to have a good time because you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and people like Danica McKellar have made a career out of it now. That's all she does, isn't it? She went from Winnie Cooper in the Wonder Years, and now she just does these Hallmark Christmas films every year. I watched one a few years ago, and it's impacted me. I haven't been able to find it since. It was about this kid and his dad, and his mum had died, and they'd planted a tree in the garden in her memory. And the White House wanted this tree. So they cut it down and they were driving it across the whole country. And it was about all the adventure. Oh, it was amazing. I can't wait till we get closer to Christmas and we do a Christmas movie cheesy special.
Are you sure that wasn't just a dream you had?
Oh, it was amazing. I want to say it was called The Christmas Tree, but that would be too obvious.
It could be.
It had all the feels because of the mum, because of the sentimental value. The relationship between him and his dad was a bit taut, but on this journey, it was beautiful. That's Christmas.
It sounds fun. You have to try and find what it's called.
I've been trying for 3 years, Luke. But I don't know if I do agree. I think it might be slightly controversial because at Christmas is an exception because I know I'm getting the rest of the time. I can't think of any straight to TV films that I like.
Well, can I introduce you to the classics like Ghost Shark? And I think particularly when it comes to TV movies, the good things to watch are Christmas, creature features, and disaster movies. I think there's Airplane versus Volcano. Dean Cain does a great TV movie.
Airplane versus Volcano.
Yeah, and I think that one is like an airplane somehow gets into the middle of this mysterious ring of volcanoes that have just appeared. I can't exactly remember. And they're all erupting. And so they have to get the plane out of this ring of volcanoes. I am fairly certain it is that one. I am fully aware that a lot of TV movie synopsis could be for like 5 different films. But like there's one that is very similar to like Earthquake, like the classic Earthquake film. There's one very much like that is, again, you know, parents are down on the ground, kids are up in the skyscraper, they've got to get them out. And
right. Well, I'll check some out and no doubt we'll interact on that.
I mean, basically, if you want a blockbuster that was made for under $1 million, you can go to the Asylum's back catalogue and you will find one that matches any of your favourite blockbusters from like the last 20 years, probably.
So if you're watching or listening and you have an opinion on any of those, get in touch, let us know, and let Emma know. And if you've got any recommendations for things that you've seen that are straight to TV, or any good Christmas recommendations, we'll be needing to get them in the next 2 months or so. That'll be great. And just for the final part of the episode, Emma asked if we could go back and revisit the theme that we did a few weeks back about which films would you like to see remade, or what do you think of remakes generally. So, so what have you got to say about that then, Emma?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, at the moment, everyone seems to love a remake. Like, let's reboot a series. Whether it's wise or not, I will not venture a guess on, but I do wonder if we need to stop. And particularly during the week, obviously everyone's been raving about Another Round, which is the Mads Mikkelsen film. I saw it last year. It was in the London Film Festival, and it is great. It does not need to be remade, especially with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. I mean, like, I would rather they dubbed the film and people watched that than have this remake. Like, I know a lot of people don't like foreign language films because, you know, they might not be confident with reading the subtitles and things like that, and I understand that, but I would absolutely rather they dubbed that film than remade it.
Do you think Parasite broke that, and that it proved that people are willing to step out and go see a film with subtitles?
I think more people are like getting into it, and I think once you've watched a couple of subtitled films, I think you learn a way to deal with that.
Can you think of any remakes of a foreign film where the remake's better?
I on my list of remakes, I do have another foreign film one. The remake is not better. It's absolutely not better. And that is so the original is called, what's it called? In Order of Disappearance. And they remade that into Cold Pursuit with Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah, that's a strange film.
So the two films are exactly the same. I don't think they changed any of it at all. And the original is so much better because when they decided to remake it, and I believe it had the same people involved from the original.
Right.
But obviously they've put Liam Neeson in it and they've made it glossy. You know, they've made it an action film, whereas the original was actually, yes, it had the action, but it was much grittier. It was more of a drama than an action sort of thriller thing. And I think that is where, like, it just really fell down for me. It wasn't great by any means.
No. Well, I mean, I have the debate about Infernal Affairs and The Departed, and I said last time that I thought The Departed, the remake, was better. But I think sometimes it depends on what you see first. So, like, for instance, The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, I watched the original before I saw the remake and just found it much better. But going back to subtitles, I watch a lot of TV programs, so watch a lot of Scandinavian crime thrillers or French ones. And I know what you're saying about missing the social cues, but I seem to follow the dialogue better. Because sometimes, like, if I don't hear what they've said or they mumbled it or something, I don't always get it, and it might be an important thing. So, but there is an art to it, yeah. But going back slightly, another round. So that's Mads Mikkelsen, who's a great actor anyway. But it's about a group of teachers, is it?
Yeah, so it's
get alcohol, see if they can function with alcohol in their body.
Yeah, they basically do a social experiment that, as you can imagine, it leads to a lot of. I don't want to spoil anything because I can't remember what was like in the trailer or anything. But yeah, they do this social experiment and obviously takes each of them in a very different direction, you know, and changes their lives and the lives of others. So it's I mean, it's a very good watch. You know, well worth seeing. But I don't. That in particular, there is a lot of. What's the way to describe it? It's not massively script heavy, so I think you can get the visuals from this original, and you don't have to have it tarted up with Leonardo DiCaprio in it, who I can't see in that role personally. I'm not a massive fan. So
it's a good job that wasn't your controversial opinion. I love Leo. But yeah, it sounds as though it's doing well already. The reviews that I've read about the film are really good. So I don't know why they remake it, apart from like the Girl with a Dragon Tattoo and the Girl Who Played with Fire and all of them they remade. It was just, I don't want to, for Americans basically. That's what it was for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get it to a wider audience where, well, if you can't be bothered to read subtitles, then you miss out. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's got a fresh vision for something and they feel like they could read, I mean, like The Departed's a good example. I mean, for Infernal Affairs aside, it's a good Scorsese film with a great Jack Nicholson performance in it. That if it hadn't been remade, you wouldn't have got.
Yeah, and I get that, but it's the same. They do it with a lot. Same with the, you know, the Scandinavian crime drama. So The Missing and The Killing and The Bridge. They've just done it, so they call it Le Tunnel or whatever it was. You know, I mean, it was like, come on. They just took the same principle, trying to make it. Yeah, but yeah. So I don't mind. We talked about some films that we thought should be remade. So is there any film, Emma, that you think, not because I'm of the opinion you are, that we just need new ideas. Stop just regurgitating.
If you're going to remake something, remake a bad film.
So stop making Superman or Spider-Man. Just get new things. But there's some films that we were talking about the other week that we really anticipated and just weren't very good. So we want them to try again. Is there any films like that for you?
Ooh, what's the question? Now, the one that I would love to see remade, and at the same time I don't want to see remade, which I don't even know if it's still in the pipeline, is Clue. Like, I love the original Clue, and obviously they talked about doing that again, and I do love a modern take on it. So if they are going to change it and make it something different, so like with Child's Play, obviously the original and then the new one that came out was 2019. I
think so. Yeah.
They did have different, like, there was a definite difference between them. And so that, I was like, okay, that's great. You know, you've done a spin on that. That's fine. So I think if they're going to make it different, it needs to be excessively different. Like, I don't, like, if you're just going to make the exact same film, then why bother?
Yeah, I suspect the reason is Knives Out was successful and they went, oh, we own the rights to Clue.
Yeah.
And that's, sometimes it is, oh, we have this property, we think it might sell right now, let's do it. And that's not a good reason to remake a film.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I'd be hesitant to pick other films. Like, the only ones I can think of off the top of my head are like all my favourite films. I'm like, no, don't
touch the favourites.
I don't want to see that.
Don't touch the good ones.
One of my favourite films that I do watch a lot is actually a remake, and I've never watched the original, and that's Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. Right. I just find it really entertaining. Like, I really enjoy it, and that is a remake of, and I can't for the life of me remember who's in it, but it's like, we're talking like classic black and white film. I don't have a desire to watch that because I do enjoy the older films, and my brain is telling me I will enjoy that, and then go, why have I been watching this film all this time? Even though, obviously, you know, it's switched up a bit. But
there maybe is some mileage in remaking a film nobody's ever seen in years, because it's gone out of the public. Like Scarface, for example, was it was a remake.
Was it?
Yeah, Scarface was a remake of.
But the original was very highly rated as well.
Yeah. So there is something to be said for remaking a film that actually has just got lost in, you know, in the midst of time, as it were.
I think the other one that actually pops into my mind as being quite a good remake, and again, it's an older film remade. I say recently, like, I dread to think how long ago it came out. It was probably 1999 or something like that. But what's the original called? Shop Around the Corner was remade into You've Got Mail. Now, I love You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
And I did watch that again relatively recently, and like, it still holds up because I understand that technology, whereas I think possibly younger viewers might not get dial-up, which makes me feel really old. But like, obviously they've been able to bring that in, you know, to more modern times, just because the technology changed and it's not sending a letter. You know, it's email. But then like, I don't think, like, that, obviously massive time difference, but a couple of nights ago I watched Mean Machine and the Longest Yard. So obviously they're both remakes of an older film, The Longest Yard. There was the British remake with obviously Vinnie Jones and football, and then there was the remake with Adam Sandler and American football. And I think I enjoy both of those. I think they're great. It's been a long time since I've seen the original, but actually, like, I vaguely remember enjoying that one. But I think they managed to turn it around, so they've, you know, you've got a different country with their sport. You've done a remake in modern times, in theory the same film, just more modern. And I think all of those work quite well. So I think, yeah, you just need to be able to twist a tale, and then you're onto a winner. Just don't give me the same film, just with different actors.
Yeah.
Unless it's a director's cut, which I was really pleased this week that Sylvester Stallone finally announced the date for the Rocky IV director's cut to come out. So that's going to be in cinemas in November, so I can't wait for that.
Looking forward to that.
And then in lesser news, I don't know if you saw it, but before I watched Nobody, there was a trailer for Fast and the Furious 9. Are they still going?
I think they've got another 2 left. Yeah, 9 and 10.
Dear me. But at least now they've embraced the nonsense.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the trailer just showed me that it was pure nonsense.
Yeah.
Because I think the first one, I didn't mind it as a film, and then it just got progressively more ridiculous. But now they've just embraced it.
Actually, something I would like to know, what is your favourite one out of the whole franchise?
Of the Fast and Furious?
Me, 5.
Yeah.
Me, 1.
5. There's just something about them dragging that container down the street.
Yeah, that's
I love in 5.
I like 5. I also kind of like 6 is the first one I saw, because I went with a friend at the cinema, and it was like, we'll go see Fast and the Furious, and I was like, really? We're going to go see Fast and the... I was just like, I am not on board with this, but I had a great time.
The first one is the only one I own. The only one I acknowledge, really.
Yeah.
Once The Rock came into it, I'd stopped long before watching them before
that. That's when I got into it, when The Rock came in.
It was great to have you with us, Emma. So thanks for coming on and sharing your thoughts with us. So Emma's on Twitter. If you want to tell them your Twitter handle, Emma, then there might some people listen.
Yes, so you can find me at Emma at the Movies on Twitter, and search that everywhere. It's on all the socials.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go and add a few of these things to my letterbox. So Sergeant Stubby and One Cut of the Dead and Ghost Shark and Airplane versus Volcanoes.
Don't watch Ghost Shark 2. Don't watch that. The first one.
Okay. Well, we'll see. But thank you very much for joining us, Emma. So if you're watching on YouTube, or you're listening in your car, or wherever you listen, then get in touch. Let us know what you think. If you want to come on as a guest like Emma has, tell us about the films of your life, discuss what you've been watching, and talk to us about a topic you're interested in, then get in touch. Let us know, and we'd love to have you on.
Well, thank you, everybody, for watching, and please feel free to get in touch with us, comment below on the YouTube, or send us a tweet, or if you'd like to subscribe and get notifications, hit the subscribe button on YouTube or on the podcast service that you use.